Yuck. Yuck. The look of love is in your eyes. A look, your smile can't disguise. Just words could ever say. And what my heart has heard, well, it takes my breath away. I have you so.
Welcome in, everyone, to the OYSA Esports Oregon Rumble. I am Vaudable, and joining me today, as always, is Oliver Bass, or Bass from the Past. If you don't know what this event is, it's a 2v2 online tournament featuring Rocket League, hosted by the OYSA, the Oregon Youth Soccer Association, a non-profit soccer organization serving 40,000 plus youth and 100 plus member clubs across the state of Oregon. That is a lot of members.
I would say so. Outside of that, we've also got a little bit else going on here today because this is Oregon Youth Soccer Association's new inaugural tournament for their new esports program as well. Like we said, providing the youth more opportunities to enjoy the game of soccer through esports, because today, it's not exactly soccer. It's car soccer. It's pretty close to it. You're still going to have the same sort of soccer ball, the same sort of rotations and all of that, but just a little bit more than the usual that we're usually seeing here from OYSA.
And it's going to be a great time. They'll be hosting more tournaments and special esports events throughout the year and in between traditional soccer seasons, so make sure you participate in those. This event is also being hosted in partnership with George Fox University in Newberg, Oregon, where players can compete in a state-of-the-art collegiate arena, which is pretty amazing. We'll see some pictures of that later on. But today, George Fox University provides esports varsity programs and scholarship to over 90 students across a dozen competitive teams. And that's enough of us talking about it. Why don't you take a look at these videos explaining a bit more about the program?
Aren't you forgetting something?
Welcome back, everyone. I mean, that's a pretty intense promo, I'd have to say, for George Fox University. Pretty awesome to see, like, the activities that are available for people just attending in general there. And we'll also have an interview later on with one of the members of the George Fox University Esports department. That's the director and head coach of Esports, Miles Dean. So that'll be in a few matches. We have a format for you all to enjoy today as well. We have the qualifier matches, a 3-match round robin. Now we have the semifinals and grand finals where the top 4 teams qualifying from those round robin compete for the championship. In first place, they get a trophy and $150 gift certificate per player, and second place, a $50 gift certificate per player. So, lot to win here in this tournament, Bass.
Yeah, there's a ton on the line, and on top of that, it's a little bit about pride as well. Again, it's always nice to take home first place, and when you get a trophy to sort of, commemorate that as well, makes it even better. I kind of envy whoever takes that home. I don't know if I've ever won an esports tournament that I've actually gotten a trophy from quite yet, but all of the players here today do have the chance. Not necessarily, though. We're down to only 4 teams left here, VOD, and speaking of which, we actually have our first 2 teams just about on the docket here. You can see them on the left side, HEU versus Shin Guardians. That's Sonark and... You want to try and pronounce that second name? Because I'm not quite sure. VYXP. Could go a lot of ways.
I'm guessing that's how that would be. Vixby?
We're going to say VixP for now.
Yeah.
On the other side of this one with Shin Guardians, we've got Asymmetrics and Young Stroker here. And I'm very excited for this one to see how these 2 teams fare. Because, again, it is one of these things where as soon as you get into the semifinals, it's kind of anybody's ball game. And honestly, that's what makes tournaments like this all the more entertaining.
Or it could be Youngest Rocker. I'm thinking that's what we're going to go with on that one. For the team of Shin Guardians. So we'll see who out of those squads comes out on top. But Shin Guardians, for what we saw, I know that they were participating pretty well in their matches, destroying a lot of the teams that were out there and scoring a ton of goals. So we kind of expect big things from that squad specifically. But let's get you all some more information about where you can find some stuff about George Fox University and Oregon Youth Soccer. I mean, George Fox University, you can find out more at georgefox.edu, and Oregon Youth Soccer at OregonYouthSoccer.org. It's pretty easy to find more stuff there. I believe we do have a playoff bracket, if I'm not mistaken, to showcase you all to on who there is facing off against each other. And actually, we know we don't need it because we got the match here, Bass. So we have Sonark and Vixby versus Youngest Rocker. We'll just say Rocker versus Asymmetrics on this one.
I do feel like we're going to see a lot here in this first game, and honestly, both teams kind of need to hit the ground running. It's a best of 3 here for our semi and grand finals, which means that every team is really only going to have 1 game of buffer room. If you end up giving up that first game, it's all right. You can technically get it back in the second, but if you do not, that will be it. So for a couple of these teams, I'm more seeing how they hit the ground running. How strong are they off rip? And already I can see with HEU, they're pretty strong. Offense abundant here as we start off.
And that's what we want to see is early offensive pressure from these teams. And Shin Guardians, they are the ones to really look out for the most based on the results we saw from that round robin play. Asymmetrics, again, some solid offensive pressure. Looking for the finish, though. 1v1 situation. They couldn't beat the defender just yet. But their teammate is there to back them up. And I love 2v2s in this fashion, Bass, because since you don't have that third member, you really have to focus in on those individual challenges against your opponents. If you can win them out, you can usually get a goal from it.
Well, they're trying to win out an individual challenge here. Asymmetrics, like you said, our potential MVP of this event. He's doing a lot of heavy lifting here, trying to get something started. Rocker does dive in afterwards, but nobody's actually going to make contact with the ball. And like you said, 2v2 is such an interesting game mode for Rocket League because while team plays are going to be necessary, it's really about setting up the second man to dive in. And right now, we're not quite seeing that. We could see a goal here, though. Sonar got it in front of net and will slot it into the top left.
What a one from HEU. I mean, Shin Guardians, I was talking them up so much, but Sonark and Vixby just doing so well in the aerial category for their team. Able to go up and over the defense of their opponents and go through the line to get that first goal, and that's a great start for them.
See if they can maybe add on to it. Sonark with some space to work with midair. Can't quite find the contact necessary, though, and maybe Asymmetrics will get a little bit of revenge. They're going for the bump and will connect. The shot might have been fired off at midfield, but as long as you take out the final defender, it'll sink its way in.
That's what we've seen happen so many times in Rocket League. You take out the defender, and that's all you need for it to find its way into the back of the net, especially in a 2v2 situation. They weren't quite expecting the physical play to come out at that point in time, so a great look for Shin Guardians to bounce back quickly after the goal was scored against them. But as I say that, another shot comes through. Sonark not giving them any room to breathe. Already 5 shots.
You're having a flurry of goals here through the first only 2 minutes of play, and a lot of it is off the back of some open nets here on either end. Teams are quick to take shots as soon as they see an opportunity. It's not as much defenses that are just getting pressed to the limits as much as offenses that are just removing them from even having a chance at saving the ball. So I like what we're seeing so far, but I'd love to see a little bit more defense on either end. How about right here? Calm and collected is Asymmetrics, but maybe a bit too calm. Should have been a bit quicker because Sodark demos them and takes full advantage.
Sonark was upset that we were saying, oh, you know, Asymmetrics could be MVP of the tournament, and then said, no, it's going to be me. They have a save, they have 6 shots, 3 goals, a demo as well, and they are doing pretty swell for their team into the first 2 minutes of competition of Game 1. I mean, if things continue this way, what does Shin Guardians really need to do to fix this?
Maybe start being a bit more prepared on defense here. Again, we've seen it be, I'd say, high and lows for them so far here, where at moments they're playing phenomenal offense like this, and at other moments the defense has been leaving goals open. Nothing open about this one, though. Asymmetrics had to earn this. Flick around one and another shot around the other.
That was a beautiful 1-2 take over top of both defenders. No way they could stop it. Weren't quite expecting that kind of style from them, so huge second goal for Asymmetrics and Shin Guardians. They need to see a little bit more from Rocker for them to do as much as they can against this team. But Sonark kind of took it away from their teammate, and that gives it wide open to Rocker as they are looking for a chance. Can't get the read as best as they would like, so backing off on the play. Vixby also pushed over a little too much on the challenge. Asymmetrics taking advantage of in that capacity as well, and back to the blue half it goes. I'd say this is to the favor, though, of HEU, as they haven't really had to struggle too much more recently after that second goal came through.
We've seen individual challenges here or there, but the big issue is that, again, you have to measure those challenges. Occasionally, those individual plays are necessary, but at other times, you need to know how to use your teammates and how to rely on them to follow up your shots. It's been, oh no!
Wow.
I was going to say, the biggest issue here for everybody on Shin Guardians is that they haven't quite found the cohesion yet. This is another unfortunate example, as nobody's really sure whose ball this is in the corner, and, well, there's the result.
I gotta say, one of the nicest own goals I've seen in some time.
Truly.
I mean, the redirect all the way into the net. If that was the other side of the field, beautiful masterclass performance to tie things up. Unfortunately, it was on their own side of the field. Asymmetrics, though, almost makes up for it. Sonark just saves the day there momentarily. Bixby, who was credited with that last goal, wanted to get involved in some fashion and did, to get them that 2-goal lead, was able to get it aside for a moment, but now it's all eyes on Asymmetrics. Sonark's just still not giving them any room to breathe. The demo helps a little bit, but you got to get this from the #1 player on the field.
Yeah, Sonark is definitely showing themselves as a early contender for match MVP, considering they've already got a hat trick here in game #1. And it's not to say that Vixby hasn't been getting involved in these plays as well. It's just very coordinated in the ways they're playing right now. A defense that is very much reliant on Vixby, allowing Sonark to just run rampant in the offense and cause problems. Speaking of causing problems, Asymmetric causing problems for everybody, but he doesn't have his teammate out mid. Rocker, unfortunately, was all the way back. They didn't have boost to follow that one up, and sometimes you gotta send the house. It's a risky play for sure, but with less than a minute to go and you're down by 2, you can't afford not to play with some risks.
What's interesting looking at these scores from the round-robin play is that both these teams have the exact same amount of points, but HEU did have the higher seed. Asymmetrics trying to prove why they are still contenders in this matchup and why they were tied in points. Nonetheless, though, what a volley that we see here. The demo comes through again and a shot from Asymmetrics. This is just beautiful play from both teams so far, Bass.
Yeah, the defense hasn't necessarily been able to get in the way of a lot of these plays, but it's definitely not for a lack of effort. They've just been removed from the pitch. Demolishing their opponents on repeat and sending them to the scrap heap seems to be the strategy right now. And when they do that, my goodness, if they don't stunt with the space that's given, the last goal we just saw would be called a doozy dish. That is just kind of serving it to yourself off the sidewall, and it may seem like a very simple mechanic. I promise you it is not. It is one of the hardest mechanics in the game. It is a narrow angle in which you have to slot it from, and props to Shin Guardians for being able to do so, but is it going to make any difference here, VOD? 10 seconds to go. They need an offense, and they might need to save this goal as well. Asymmetrics will, but here comes the march down pitch.
Not much time remaining for Shin Guardians, and it goes the other direction. That will be game #1 going to HEU, but a close one at that. If the own goal didn't come through, we easily could have gone to OT in that first one. So huge shout out to both the teams for giving it their all in the way that we saw them perform. specifically Asymmetrics and Sonark, the way that they got their individual goals, but it wasn't just those two players. I mean, we saw EXP doing everything that they can. Asymmetrics teammate also putting in some good work to get them available at least on offense, but that was just Sonark versus Asymmetrics back and forth battle on offense.
Yeah, that was just a back and forth with two teams, but I think the big reason that I would probably give not only the game to Sonark, but really the MVP to him and his team on HEU there was the fact that they were able to play very cohesively. It was clear. It's not as if Vixby wasn't capable of getting the same sort of offensive generation that we saw out of their teammate. It was more that they didn't have to. They let Sonark continually dive into offense, cause problems, cause demos, cause bumps, and Vixby went, all right, if it gets sent over your head, I'm there on defense. Calm and collected. They did such a good job at cleaning up the back end and not allowing easy transitions, because again, you think about the goals that were earned there from Shin Guardians, the last one in particular, it's not as if they didn't have a defense to contend with. They removed them and then forced their way through. So it's a strategy for sure. The unfortunate thing is, though, for Shin Guardians, now they need 2 perfect games in a row. Game number 1 went in favor of HEU. If they do the same thing here, they are our first team in the grand finals. Shin Guardians have to have a huge response.
Now we got to see what Shin Guardians can do to bounce back themselves, as they are down and already down in the game too. Vixby, I mean, they had the own goal credited to them, but they wanted an actual goal this time. Rocker tried to get it away, but the demo comes through from Sonark. They give Shin Guardians a taste of their own medicine with the aggressiveness there.
That was everything we've talked about, though. It's, again, Sonark just continuing to put pressure on out at midfield, putting on this calamity that ensues out in the offensive third. And this is where we mentioned, again, Vixby, it's not as if they haven't had the opportunities to get into offense. They just don't really bite all that often. They pick and choose their moments, and obviously they choose that one. With nobody back, they can dive in. What about here on the follow-up? They do attempt to, but not enough boost in the tank. And so the narrow angle that they needed to shoot from was not available. They need to make the save here off the backboard. Rocker shot on target, and Vixby will make the save.
Another safe moment for them for now, but Rocker looking for the setup off the corner, tries to get the read from the ceiling too, can't quite get to the connection that they are looking for. So it's all eyes on Asymmetrics, who has to desperately send that to the heavens. A good connection from Sonark. Vixby there on the follow through, but this is the time to shine. If you are Shin Guardians, you need the passing play to come through. They try to go for the bump, but a double commit from HEU does save the day, thankfully for them. But still, they can't afford to let up any momentum that they have gotten themselves. Thankfully for HEU fans out there, Shin Guardians haven't really been able to get control of the ball just yet. Looking for the double tap, though, denied by the defense.
I do like how Rocker's starting to get a little bit more aggressive, though. They're trying to back up Asymmetrics here in order to get some back-and-forth play, passing play starting to develop. But are they aware of this? Sonark, no boost in the tank, but still has to charge downfield. To the corner they go. Good touch out of it. But no follow-up from Vixby quite yet. Instead, they'll take it all the way back. Again, this is what is made, oh my goodness, this HEU team so incredibly difficult to deal with, is that Vixby will not bite unless they have to, and when they take it back into their half and retain possession, it's so difficult for Shin Guardians to interfere. Now what can Vixby do on offense? Baited out by the first player. That'll give time for now Rocker to not clear the lines. Instead, it's a pass back out center, but Sonark not well aware of it. Instead, they'll go back into their half yet again.
Whew. Speaking of the other half, it goes all the way to the Shin Guardians side quickly, and this momentum shift that we keep seeing from HEU, every time it's on their side of the field, they quickly transition it into Shin Guardians' end, and it makes it so difficult for Asymmetrical and Rocker to do anything on the field. It's hard for them to get control of the ball. It's hard for them to find their footing on the blue half and do anything with it. That's a decent opportunity, but goes by the wayside right past the post, and a hard read to get in the air afterwards for Rocker. So Asymmetrical having to get back in time, barely to save the day there. Rocker gets it into the corner, but no boost to work with whatsoever for either of them.
They're still keeping the possession, though, at this point. As Sonark off the sidewall. Time and space. Can you stunt? Trying to add that. The flip reset will set up Vixby, though, here. I think Shin Guardians, again, they're so used to Vixby playing a passive second player. As soon as they dive in front of the goal mouth, it catches all of them by surprise.
You talked about this going into this game, too, that it wasn't just Sonark doing everything for their team. Vixby was there to support them defensively and make sure that they had some backup whenever they needed. Now we're getting to see that they can go for those rebound plays and the follow-ups, and that's exactly what they need to get into those grand finals and into the pricing. Again, a $50 gift card per player at least on the line in this matchup. If you can win it, you get that guaranteed, but if you win the final, then Well, a trophy and a $150 gift certificate is awaiting you, which is even better.
Well, at minimum, they're going to take the 50 if we don't see a response out of Shin Guardians here. They've got 100 seconds to hustle, but they need 2 goals, not even just the 1. They might need 3 if Vixby can finish off this play. They don't have to. It's too awkward of an angle in sight of net, and with 90 seconds to go, Vaughn, that could seal the deal.
Hat-trick for Vixby on 5 shots and 3 saves. They're having their own MVP performance in this one, and there is nothing that the Shin Guardians have been able to do against this team. A rough spot to be in for sure for Shin Guardians. They look so solid in the last one, but a lot of this is coming down to just HEU playing better. It's not necessarily Shin Guardians playing bad for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's been an own goal here and there, but it happens to the best of them.
I think the big thing is really the defensive differences between the two teams here. Is that Shin Guardians have had such a hyper-effective offense. When they do get an offense, I mean, it's plays like this. There we go. Great example of that. And, I mean, I could criticize their defense, but I don't need to right now. If they can just score more like this, who needs defense?
No defense needed, unfortunately, but they almost had an amazing save at the end there. You saw from the backboard going for the challenge. I think it was Vixby, excuse me, on that one. But no connection. Still potential, though, for Shin Guardians to come back and force a Game 3. Plenty of time to get 2 goals in just over a minute, and now just that. They do need to get it out of their side, and they can't serve it up on a silver platter to Sonark, or else they will score.
I think this is just a little bit of over-eagerness here. I think they're expecting this touch out of the corner to be immediately followed up a bit more heavily, and that's why you can see asymmetrics further downfield, hoping it'll get received to them. It's not a bad idea, though, especially with under a minute to go. You're banking on just getting goal after goal after goal. You can't spend too much time on defense, but now they're going to spend even more time on offense at this point. 3 goals now in favor of HEU. With time ticking away, they can't even afford to give up another. If they do, that should be it, but asymmetrics, breakaway play, boosting the tank, just needs to get around the final defender. Where is Rocker? Shot on target, but it is saved once again by Vixby.
Time ticking down. Only a few more chances for Shin Guardians. Back into their side, but chance for attack or a redirect. Setup play potential denied by Sonark. Other direction it goes this time, and a pinch play somehow deflected by the defense. But I don't think there's a chance with the time remaining for Shin Guardians to come back. So HEU on their victory lap, and a well-earned victory lap at that, Bass.
I would say so. Game number 1 was a contentious back and forth between the two teams, but game number 2, very clearly, HEU knew how to spread their wings and fly. Incredibly impressive game, and again, the thing that I think is most impressive about it, besides the result itself, which sends them to the grand finals, it's that both players get involved. As we said, game 1 was very clearly the asymmetrics versus Sonark battle. For game 2, it's exactly as we talked about in between the games, where we said it really wasn't just Sonark as much as the scoreboard might have represented that. Vixby was not needing to get involved in the offense. They were playing a passive defense, and at moments while they would get involved, it was very far and few between. In game 2, they recognized that the other team had thought that's what it was going to continue to be. They thought it was going to continue to be the Sonark show. So every time that Vixby did dive, did get involved in offense, defense was none the wiser. Very well played out of HEU, a well-deserved spot in the grand finals.
Huge win at that for HEU, and we expect big things from them in those grand finals, but we still have another series to go. But before that, learn a little bit more about George Fox University and the OYSA Esports.
My name is Connor Larson. I come from Mosel, Oregon, and I play Rocket League for the George Fox varsity team. I want to make esports as sport-like as possible. I came from winning the state championship in my bedroom, which was awful. It felt so wrong for esports to be so inside, so disconnected. I never even met a lot of people I was competing against face to face, and I want to change that. I want, every like several in-person tournaments a year. I want kids be meeting each other and to be really sharing that competitive experience like you would end up in a sport, where in esports it always just felt so you never get to meet the people you compete against, the people you lose and win against. George Fox has all the resources and passion to help high school esports grow all across the state. I'm extremely grateful for my family for supporting me all the way. Most parents really do not support esports, and I'm not exactly sure if that's what my dad envisioned. He might have envisioned a football son or a basketball son, but instead he got a Rocket League son. I'm not sure if he was expecting that, but he supported me all the way, and I am forever grateful for my family, and I'm also forever grateful for George Fox to give me this opportunity to grow the high school esports scene, and not just Oregon, but all across the country.
Welcome back, everyone. We have our next semifinal, Kickmasters versus Team Fusion. I'm loving these team names, I gotta say. Pretty great team names. T-Whirl and Cruz versus Swazmaster and Snaz. So a lot of S names today, I'm realizing. We had Sonark, now it's Snaz, Swazmaster, T-Whirl, and Cruz. We'll see who moves on to that final. But again, as long as you make it into it, you get that $50 gift card per player, which is huge. But also, we talked about it, the glory, the trophy. I mean, that's what you want to really compete for here, Bess.
Oh, absolutely. Again, it's just awesome to be able to take something home and be able to kind of just look at it and go, I won this tournament. I did that good, and it's commemoration of that forever to come. Yeah, the gift cards are awesome as well. I don't want to underplay those by any stretch of the imagination, but like we said, it's not necessarily just about the prizes, it's about the pride that you take home as well. Being able to say you are the best here in this competition goes a very long way, and for both Kickmasters and Team Fusion here, I've got faith in them both. Again, you talked about it, you know, the yes names, really, the short names are the big difference for me. I feel like the Rocket players that have the shortest and the catchiest names are usually the ones you got to pay attention to, so I'm paying attention to 2 on one team and Snaz on the other, and oh my goodness, 2 might prove already why. Trying to get something out of the corner, not quite able to find the first goal yet.
Team Fusion also barely able to get in based on the tiebreakers against Demolition, so could have easily been Demolition making it forward instead, so have to give a big shout out to that team if they're tuning in. But Kickmasters is the one who has dominated. They had the max amount of points you could get, 10 points per round. Of course, the other teams we've seen so far had 29 points. So a lot of competition for those teams who made it into this top 4. And we really get to see the best of the best competing in these semifinals.
Woo! We're already seeing Kickmasters prove they truly are the best of the best at this point here. Big credit to Cruz on this one, though. This is not just 2 getting the shot. It's a great 50 on the line with nobody back. That's as free as they come from 2.
Kickmasters is that team we kind of expect to dominate. If I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing in the screenshots that they have at least a former Grand Champ on their team. So definitely a squad to look out for in this lobby from what we have seen up to this point. But there's some other teams that didn't make it in that had some Grand Champs on their teams. Nothing But Net also had a Grand Champ as well. And, well, that is Nothing But Net with that goal coming through.
Again, it's not just about the individual players having an impact. It's about both players getting involved in this one. And the only reason that ball gets to the corner in the first place is due to Cruz putting on the pressure and forcing Team Fusion into a defensive posture in the first place. Right now, Kickmasters, well, they're just kind of kicking it out on the field. It's been easy as you come for the two of them, but they might have to try and fight back from a little bit less of a lead. It does look like we've got something developing here for Fusion. Neither one of them want to commit out at midfield, though. And again, this is where we say cohesion's going to be so important. With two players on the ball, somebody's got to at least try and keep that offense alive, or maybe respond here. Unfortunately, not quite yet. Snaz going to not bite out at midfield, and it'll be another offense here for Kickmasters.
I'm realizing I was saying 2RL's name wrong. It's just 2, like
is
the
2,
number
yeah.
2. I thought it was like some abbreviation, but that's just because how we have it written on the overlay when looking back at those scoreboards. But even then, Season 11, I think, Champ Tournament winner for 2RL, and then Season 8 Diamond Tournament winner for Cruz. So probably around Champ level for both these players at least. So decent competition that's really showing up for this tournament here, Bass.
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple of times here, and we've really talked about this through a multitude of events that you and I have casted, but it's always the teams that are well-balanced that seem to do the best. Occasionally, you will have a player who's just so individually impactful that they're undeniable in their skill and the way that their teams flow, but it really is about teams that are able to play together and be around not necessarily the same level, but to be able to adapt to each other's level, and that's what we're seeing right now. It does very much feel like Cruz is leading the charge into these plays, and that's intentional. 2 is just kind of behind them, backing them up, and filling in the gaps where necessary. That's why they've yet to even give up a goal here.
Oh, no.
They'll get another one. Technically an own goal on this one, but can't really blame them. This is such an awkward angle to try and recover from, and if they had not touched the ball, Cruz was going to just slam it in anyways.
It was going to go in by itself, even based on the angle. Like, maybe go off the post barely, but it looked like the angle was like the best blessing of an angle you could ever ask for when you're going for a weird shot like that. So, works out well enough for Kickmasters. Goes to show why they were able to dominate their series as well as they did and get some big wins at that. I think one of the wins that they had was like 15-0. So, yeah, able to score a lot of goals for sure. Kickmasters, you could know that they've been probably playing twos together for a decent amount of time, but even if not, I mean, hey, a good duo that should stick together. Play some ranked a little bit.
I feel like I've ran into the 2 in ranked. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I genuinely do believe, because I'm in the champ levels. I've gotten close to GC before, so similar to 2, who's been GC at least once, but is more around that champ level. We'll talk about it in a little while here, because really 2 hasn't been the highlight in this first game. It has been Cruz. Like we mentioned before, it's very clear Cruz is the spearhead right now, and they're doing a great job at that.
A beautiful job, even, from what we're seeing. And honestly, if it continues forward to Kickmasters getting the eventual victory against HEU, I mean, that's an insane matchup, to say the least. The expectations for that. But Team Fusion really need a little bit more where they came from in the round-robin play to showcase their skill. But it's really hard to do that against a team like this that you're facing off against in this matchup. I mean, they had so many chances. But even then, they aren't really given too much room to work with, and that's a tough read to get as well. It barely hits the crossbar, bounces out, and then you get demoed afterwards. Insult to injury.
I mean, Kickmasters are just not giving Fusion a moment to breathe there, and that's part of why you even see that play develop, is that Snaz is thinking that's coming off the backboard, and they're going to have a little bit of time to catch the ball, just like we see there, and then try to transition with it. Cruz diving immediately. In many other scenarios, you would call that foolish. In this one, it's because he's calling their bluff. He does not care if they want to try to take time. He does not care if he wants to try and get this offense. They are there to dive in aggressively, and honestly, props, like I said again, to both Cruz and a 2 for just playing such a cohesive game right now. Like, how do you stop him? Cruz is on 0 boost diving out at midfield. What are you supposed to do there?
Almost 100% shooting efficiency as well, which is interesting to think about. But, oh, how did they save that? Oh, that's going to hurt too, because that should have been a surefire goal, but it went into their own net off the inside of the post and bounced out. And there's another goal for Cruz to make it 4 for them, 2 for their teammate 2. Hey, the prophecy came true that 2 had 2 goals.
My goodness, this is unrelenting at this point. Cruz just continuing to dive on every play. Guys, you've gotten the win already. It's 6-0 with a minute to go. It's almost a guarantee here. I don't necessarily think that they need to keep putting on the pressure, but honestly, this might just be a statement, because if Kickmasters have a plan to make it into the grand finals, they're probably looking across there at HEU and going, get ready, this is what's coming.
Well, what's coming is less than a minute to go for Team Fusion to try and get on the board. They got close a couple of times here. Just haven't been as successful as they would like against the fury of Kickmasters. I guess that is a reason why they are called the Kickmasters, because they are kicking the ball down the field as far as they can and following up with it amazingly afterwards. Again, less than 30 seconds, but looking for a finishing touch. Off the backboard it goes, the follow through denied by the defense, and we do see some improvements from Team Fusion on their reads of the play, and that's all you can really hope for as it develops into the last few seconds.
I feel bad for Team Fusion because they have not played a bad game by any stretch of the imagination.
True.
They just haven't had many chances to even play offense at this point. Again, Kickmaster is such an aggressive rotation right now that just continually dives into offense and makes sure that that Team Fusion does not even have a chance to break out of their half and get some offense of their own. It's a very smart strategy, and it's an effective one at that. Looking like a shutout victory here in Game 1, unless, never mind, Fusion can't keep it up, and Kickmasters, as it hits the ground, takes the victory in Game 1.
So close for Team Fusion at the end there, but it did not work out as they were hoping it would. Again, back to the drawing board in between games until Game 2, and still some opportunities for them. So we will see how things go down there. But for Kickmasters, I mean, just keep kicking the ball forward, and they'll potentially get the win again from what we saw in Game 1. I'm curious if it'll be the same amount of domination or if there's going to be a game plan change from Team Fusion, because that's what they need going into this next one.
I have to imagine there's going to be a game plan change at this point, because it definitely does feel if they're going to have this amount of pressure exerted against them on repeat, they need to find a way to either A, just sort of survive throughout it, or B, alleviate it. And whether that be aggressive challenges out at midfield trying to prevent those dives that we keep seeing here out of Kickmasters, I'm not sure what it's going to be, but definitely start to ban Mark Cruz a little bit there. I definitely feel like Cruz was just kind of running rampant on offense, whether through bumps, demos, or just diving into plays where they were least expecting it. You need to pay attention, because if they keep doing that, it's just going to be enough overwhelming offense to where there is no escape. It's what we saw in Game 1. Wouldn't be surprised to see it again here in Game 2, but I still do believe in Team Fusion. They were no slouches coming through the round robin to make it here. Like you said, 3 teams tied at 29 points for second, third, and fourth. They were one of those teams, so it's not as if they did not have a dominant round robin as well. They deserve to be here, and now they kind of got to prove that they can still make it to the grand finals.
We'll see which of these two teams make it to the grand finals. Will there be a Game 3 on the horizon for the semis, or will it be a chance for Kickmasters to move forward with a fury to take down the competition and get the victory themselves? So Kickmasters looking for the finish in Game 2 here to close things out, get into the guaranteed prizing of at least a $50 gift certificate per player, which, hey, that's awesome. Playing some Rocket League for a couple hours, and, well, the first goal goes in for Team Fusion. They'll take it.
They said, all right, you guys want to play a physical game? You want to play a game where we're just kind of making it difficult to find any defense? We can do the same thing. Easy as you like it there. That's a great play at a Swashmaster, recognizing that there is going to be an awkward defender diving in and getting their first goal of the series. That could be the momentum swing that they've been looking for, and this could be even further. Snaz sees the breakaway play, but 2 back in time.
So close again, too, for Kickmasters to potentially saving that. But hey, Team Fusion are just turning things on a dime, it feels like. They are a completely different squad here. Swashmaster, a different story than what we saw before. And we talked about it. They weren't necessarily playing bad. It's more that they just weren't able to get on offense as much. But now they are able to do that. They are on offense. They are getting the goals and feeling a lot more confident.
They're getting their chances on offense, and at that, they're not hesitating on those chances either. It's part of the reason why we saw such an effective Kickmasters is that they would dive and nobody on Team Fusion was the wiser. That did not happen there either. Team Fusion, props to Snaz in particular, diving across the goal mouth just to make the save, and then you see Swazmaster not even allowing a free transition. Look at which the speed they are diving out at midfield. The difference here for Team Fusion is unbelievable. 3 goals in only about 45 seconds.
Amazing performance from Team Fusion. The complete turnaround flip of the script. This is their game to play and win. In the first minute, already 3 goals, and both players firing on all cylinders to take down their opponents in Kickmasters, who have been kind of asleep at the wheel, feels like.
Yeah, it's definitely not been the game we were expecting out of Kickmasters. A big goal here would go a long way. That's the response they needed, and my goodness, it's not even been a minute and we've got 4 goals.
And what a play from 2. I mean, pirouetting in the air, spinning around in circles, and just delivering it on the doorstep of Team Fusion's destruction, potentially, if they get a few more where that came from. But what an eventful first minute. You mentioned it, 4 goals already. Completely different story than we saw in the last one, where we didn't see a single one from Team Fusion. Now they're putting up a fight, but we know Kickmasters are able to score more than that amount of goals in less time, so we'll see where the comeback potential is for Kickmasters. The follow-through is there. The angle was not enough. Couldn't cut it off the post and away.
They've got to be careful, though. That was what was catching all of Team Fusion off guard in the last game, was those dives on the line that they were trying to take their time with. They wanted carries out of the half. They wanted a more coordinated play, but sometimes you just got to rush the ball, because if the opponent's already doing that, you can't afford to not do the same. Oh, I like that out of Team Fusion, though. They're looking for more physical plays. The issue, though, is it's left them in a 1v1, and Snaz will step up big. More offense to come here from 2 and the rest of Kickmasters, but that was a huge save.
Massive opportunity here for Kickmasters if they can get control of the ball. A bit of a double commit there, but it worked out for Team Fusion. The attacker that did have it on the end of Team Fusion got it out of their side, and now keeping the possession more in a favorable location that they can get it back in their hands. But even then, Kickmasters aren't going down without a fight. I know they did give up those 3 goals. Maybe they weren't as expecting, taking a sip of water and then saw the ball fly right over top of them. But even then, no excuses for them after a 6-goal performance in the last game. Only 1 so far. We're already at halftime.
They're definitely starting to generate more offense, though, at this point, and it's really through that. You can see it out of Cruz in particular. They're just stealing boost, not allowing for Fusion to get a quick transition through midfield, and even when they do, you can see the results here. That should have been a free clear. Instead, it's a free goal for Fusion. Unfortunately, Kickmasters may be panicking a little bit. They have boost in the tank. They had plenty of time, but this is just crossed wires.
Oof. Beautiful touch, Snaz, on that play, and you mentioned it. Kickmasters stripping over their shoelaces in the net there for a second. And a completely different team at Fusion than we saw in Game 1. Maybe just need a little bit of a warm-up. And hey, we respect that. I mean, it takes some time to get things going and the engines revving as much as you would want them to. Now they are falling into place on offense. But you could also see a double commit from Kickmasters. Maybe a bit of frustration. I talked about it. They looked like they were playing as 2 partners that have played together for a while, but now you can maybe see that they're getting in each other's way and not exactly what you would want to expect from the squad. So Kickmasters, I mean, at this rate, having to look forward to a Game 3 where they need to focus up and change their fates to get the victory.
Honestly, I think it's not even a change. I think they just need to go back to what was working for them. I'm starting to see, too, get a bit too over-eager. Those double commits that were not really ever present in Game 1 are extremely present in Game 2, and a lot of that is due to the fact that I think Cruz is still trying to play this aggressive play style, and 2 will not back off the ball. Unfortunately, 2 just maybe in the right place at the right time, but if it's not communicated effectively enough, it matters not.
Ooh.
This will matter a lot, though. A second goal here with 90 seconds to go. There is a light on at the end of the tunnel, and Kickmasters, if they can just avoid tripping over each other, they can absolutely turn this around.
That's gotta hurt too for the defensive Team Fusion. Someone could have gotten the save, but they also crossed their wires up a little bit as well. And it does go the other direction for Kickmasters to get at least another one on the board before the end of regulation. But plenty of times to still get a couple more goals for them if Team Fusion don't just play keep away the rest of the time, and I would do that if I was them.
Oh, and there's another moment, though, where we're talking about not really being sure of whose role it is. Usually you would see Cruz diving in plays like that to just kind of follow it up and keep the pressure on, but it's actually 2 who eventually goes in due to Cruz kind of second-guessing themselves. It actually might work. A patient version of Cruz is something Fusion did not expect, and he just snuck in that shot.
Nice opportunity as well. 2 was lurking just in case it didn't go through. So now they are able to bring it within 2, a minute and 6 seconds remaining on the clock. Plenty of time to tie things up with the 2 goals we saw come back-to-back from the Kickmasters. But as I say that, they weren't in a good position off the kickoff, and that's happened a couple times here.
Now, this is just a good play, though, from Fusion as well. It's the fake out here. You can see this. Swaz does not have anything, so he goes, all right, Snaz, you got something? Absolutely. And with 2, not really sure who's taking the shot. Awkward position, flat-tired on the line. There's not much more you can do besides just accept your fate. And at this point, I think Fate's saying we're heading to Game 3 here. Kickmasters and Fusion want to decide it all, unless Kickmasters can get one last hurrah and find a way to at least get another 2 goals. That shot being on target feels like it's not going to be enough.
Nice touch there from Swazmaster too. And we need to see what 2 and Cruz can do to pass back and forth, get this through the defense, but both of them are ready for the shot to come through. Need to improvise a bit more with these play opportunities. Does Kickmasters be able to take down a Team Fusion looking forward? As 20 seconds to go, and it looks even more likely for a Game 3, and now it is a guarantee. No chance to come back for Kickmasters, but can they get one more for the road? Momentum shift in their favor would be huge going into that third and final game of the semifinal, which after Game 1, we did not expect this to go this way at all, Bass.
No, definitely not. But the first minute of this game really is what separates the two teams. We talked about a Kickmaster getting 3 goals uncontested. Now they're going to find a 7th here to end this, and even further the lead that they started with. 4 goals to the good. This Game 3 is going to be something else.
I have no idea what to expect from Game 3.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be honest, Bass. I mean, the culmination of the first 2, you would expect 6 goals apiece. 12 goals total across the field. But really, I think it mainly depends on who gets that first goal. If it is the Team Fusion we saw in this game, they're going to win it. If it's the Kickmasters we saw in Game 1, they're going to win it. But right now, momentum in the favor of Team Fusion. They woke up. They didn't have to wait too much longer for them to get things into gear afterwards. And I think there was less mistakes from Team Fusion that we saw overall. So that's going to be the big thing to adjust in this next one for Kickmasters. Maybe don't trip over each other's toes a little bit too much there and give each other space to go for these challenges.
Try to find roles. Again, that's what we saw in Game 1. If you don't want to have the same roles where you are having an aggressive front one and then an less aggressive second player there, you do need to try to find a way to make a different rotation. Or again, just go back to that rotation. It did work in Game 1, but again, you need to make sure that's communicated effectively. Too many times we saw double commits out of midfield or a lack there of a commit because both players are aware the other player is getting more aggressive, so they don't want to double commit. And that avoidance of said, awkward scenario is actually not really going to benefit them. It's only going to make it more difficult to find spaces, to find openings, to find places to take advantage of your opponents. And that's just not what we saw there. This should be an incredible final game, though. I really don't know who's going to be taking this one home. And the reality stands, whoever does, they're guaranteed at least $50 gift cards here. They're both hunting for it, but they would really like that grand finals trophy. Let's see if either team can stamp their mark early. Absolutely. Wow. Swaz with a fake out on the line.
Oh, that's gotta hurt again. 2 went for the challenge, but it deflected in the wrong spot. Almost an amazing save, too, by the defense. They went for it at the right angle, just weren't there at the right time. A hard read to make, but the quick thinking of Swazmaster was enough for them to get that first goal in the opening 8 seconds. Now all eyes on Kickmasters to really come back here. Need the follow through, but the angle was just a bit off. And that has to be frustrating for them. They knew they needed to strike soon, and they almost did it immediately after getting scored on, but a bit of a traffic jam in front of the box does resolve itself. No real tickets having to be issued against the Kickmasters players, but they do need to go back to the drawing board here.
Yeah, this definitely feels still like Kickmasters aren't quite sure what their roles are going to be. 2 feels like they really want to get involved in offense, and I can understand why, because Cruz with this more aggressive offense has not quite been effective enough to slow down Fusion on their counterattacks, but at the same time, like we mentioned before, that's fine. It just has to be communicated. When we see both 2 and Cruz going for the ball, it leaves them in awkward positions like this, but 2 will make up for it. The initial touch off the backboard left a follow-up, but they were there to clean it up, and now a chance the other way. 2 pops it up high, looking for the dunk, can't get it past Swaz.
Good pinch off that side wall to really send it forward too for Team Fusion. Making that more difficult for Kickmasters to do anything on this play. This Cruz, well, no longer cruising on the field after the demo comes out, more of a bruising. But 2 saves the day for a chance. A shot, but no, it goes wide yet again. They need these angles to be tightened up for them to get on the board.
They're at least getting some offense here, though, and sustained pressure is going to go a long way, especially if they keep causing problems out at midfield, but that won't be a problem whatsoever. That'll be a free transition the other way, barely saved out by 2. But again, we're really seeing those double commits in particular at that midfield line. And unfortunately, you can't really afford to do so with a Team Fusion who have been much more aggressive and in your face here through the last 2 games. It's a great switch up from Fusion, but it's Kickmasters really who kind of have the ball in their court but aren't quite sure how to dribble. They need to find something, VOD. This is absolutely doable for the comeback, but they need some coordinated play if they want to get there.
Almost at the halfway point, too. A lot less goals than we saw against Kickmasters in Game 2, so that does benefit them. A lot easier for them to tie things up. But to do that, need some boosts, and that's been a tough spot for 2. But they don't need anything, actually, because they just need an opportunity to strike, and they take it.
I think that Swazmaster was just making this aggressive challenge, thinking that immediately you'd see the follow-up from Snaz, but Snaz on low boost kind of has to guess where to make that challenge, and without having that boost to stay just as aggressive as their teammate, rotations break down for a half a second, and that's what we've been looking for out of Kickmasters, to take advantage of the space being given. It's not as if they were not finding opportunities even in that last game, it's just that they were not quick enough to the ball, and Team Fusion, who were just jumping on everything, were suffocating them with pressure. This is, oh my goodness, such a better game out of Kickmasters, but it's the same thing from Fusion again. Look how quickly they move into offense. They should get a goal from it, but Snaz misses it on the line, and they just weren't expecting that on the follow-up.
That has got to hurt, is what I have to say on that one. And that's got to hurt even more for Kickmasters. No, they could have gotten the save. We're not in position. Goes with a great challenge for Spaz, and no way for that one to be stopped, as it does go into the back of the net. Amazing setup from Snaz to their self. Teed it up perfectly for them to get the lead yet again. Try and make the series score the same as the game score is currently.
Unfortunate. I feel like Kickmasters absolutely had the opportunity there to just kind of dive into offense and just immediately transition, especially after being given what was a free shot to Fusion that they just couldn't quite get around. That shot gets missed, and I think that would instill confidence normally, but with Fusion scoring immediately after, now Kickmasters have to face the grim reality. They might get reverse swept here in this best of 3 after a dominant victory in Game 1. Props to Fusion, though. It's definitely because of their adjustments throughout this series, but we're not done yet. Cruz and 2 are still leading the charge downfield. They won a spot in that grand final, and they might find it.
Oh my goodness, this is so nail-biting of a series between these two teams. Kickmasters and Team Fusion doing everything that they can, but it still is not working for either of them to get the guaranteed victory. This could easily go to an overtime situation. Kickmasters, 2 goals. Team Fusion, 2 goals. Make it 3 goals now off the kickoff again. That seems to be the bread and butter for Team Fusion.
Yeah, it's not too surprising to see that, but at the same time, this is something Kickmasters need to be aware of. If they're going to continue to have these cheat-ups out at midfield and play these really aggressive kickoffs, they need to make sure they hold somebody back unless they're going to be fast enough to get into the air. And unfortunately for Kickmasters, they just haven't shown that type of speed yet to be that fast, to be that quick on the retreat. Oh, they need to retreat here, or they need to dive aggressively. Cruz plays patience, and it was the good idea there as it shoots off the backboard. Now a chance for Kickmasters the other way, one they desperately need. With a minute to go, we could see an overtime, or we could see Fusion completing the comeback.
This is a nail-biting series, to say the least. And there it goes again. Another comeback. This one from 2. Baits out one defender, sees the one in the goal line, goes high and forward fast enough for them to be no issue on the challenge. 49 seconds to go, and I still don't know if this is the final scoreline we're going to have.
Well, it can't be. Either we go to an overtime here or we get another one in regulation, and I do feel like both teams are hunting for that in regulation. They do not want that safer approach of just going to an overtime. They would rather try and get it done now, and that's why you see Kickmaster starting to dive a bit more aggressively too, pressuring in the corner here, and now you see the follow-up from Cruz, just trying to play it patient, but pick and choose their timing. And also bump off Snaz. It's not going to work out, though. Cruz trying to play interference, but they can't stop Fusion on the counterattack, and here it comes. 15 seconds to go. If they can score now, they can end this series.
We'll have to see if they can do just that. Fusion, the demo comes out. Less than 10 seconds to go. Now have a chance. Cruise the other direction into the midfield. One last opportunity for 2. They can't overcommit, though, because it could be a counterattack, but it does touch down, and we do get overtime.
Overtime game 3. The winner of this one moves on to our grand finals, guarantees themselves at least $50 a player, and I think it's gonna be not Kickmasters yet! The shot barely off target!
I do not know how that did not go through, but instead, this might be the chance for Team Fusion to come back for the victory. Swazmaster won't be the one to do it. Into the midfield it goes, needs to save the day, into the corner, wise decision at that. And Kickmasters, they need to take this one easy. They can't overextend themselves too on the side of the post. Not where you want to be when challenging Swazmaster. And the setup goes the other direction. Cruz has a chance. It's a wide open net opportunity. They have to get the save, and they do just that.
They didn't get the boost in the corner, though. That means more pressure now for Kickmasters. Cruz, a good flick. The save again, perfectly parried out. 2 out at midfield can keep the pressure on. A boost steal at mid. A shot here. Not going to be enough. Swazmaster and Snaz right now have played such a good defense. Even the shots that are firing on target, they are well prepared for.
Just had to let it breathe for a second, as we still have no idea who is going to get this victory. It could be Kickmasters here if they get it underneath the crossbar. They can't do just that. So unfortunate yet again for Team Fusion, as they need to break out of their side and get something going. This might be the chance. Swazmaster with the setup. The passing play does not connect, and into the corner it goes yet again. Time continues for now, but it's in front of the net. There's the shot going through, and there's the goal for Swazmaster. Saves the day and saves the series for Team Fusion to move forward.
This is what we like to call an ego challenge in the best of ways. Swaz on almost no boost coming off the backboard goes, you guys don't have this save. I'm calling your bluff. And it works out perfectly. Fusion, my goodness, what a well-earned victory after a dominant performance in Game 1 out of Kickmasters there. The response to the latter 2 games was impressive. And I think the most impressive part, we saw Kickmasters back at full potential in Game 3. They were not off like they were in Game 2. They were firing on all cylinders. And even at that, we still saw such a good response from Fusion. Well-deserved spot in the grand finals. I can't say anything else but that.
An amazing, like, I'm so flabbergasted by that entire series. Team Fusion really evolved as a team as it went on. They looked absent for the most part, on offense at least. They were stuck defensively on their end for all of Game 1. And it was the opposite story for Game 2. Game 3 was like so back and forth that they gave it their all, and eventually could have easily been a win the other direction. So unfortunate to say there, but it would be a victory nonetheless, fortunately for Team Fusion, to move on to face off against HEU in that final. So we'll have to see those teams in just a little bit, but we can talk a little bit more about this event if you didn't tune into the beginning of the show. Again, this is a 2v2 online tournament featuring Rocket League, hosted by the Oregon Youth Soccer Association, a non-profit soccer organization serving 40,000 plus youth and 100 plus member clubs. But also, this event is helped to be provided by, in partnership by George Fox University in Newberg, Oregon, where players can compete in a state-of-the-art collegiate arena, where some of them who are competing today are actually in that arena. And they provide our esports varsity programs and scholarship to over 90 students across a dozen competitions, which is just insane to hear about.
It's a lot of students, and something we've talked about a lot is that it's awesome nowadays that you can have the opportunity for students to go to college for a discount, or even potentially free depending on the scholarships that they are given. That ability to help with tuition is something that's very unique now to the current space within collegiate spaces. I kind of wish I had that when I was going to college at a certain point, but it's awesome to see that George Fox in particular is not only doing that, but they are really putting in the work with their state-of-the-art facility, as we've mentioned, and as you've probably seen on the broadcast multiple times. They have such a cool facility out there in Oregon, and they are doing so much right now. I cannot say it has been a really cool thing to see as esports at a collegiate level has grown. George Fox has absolutely grown with it, and they are doing so much now for the space.
Yeah, and we're getting set up for this grand final. We're actually going to go straight into it as quickly as we can. It'll be HEU versus Team Fusion, Sonark, and Vixby versus Swazmaster and Snaz. So we are getting the fated all but one S name matchup that we kind of were talking about, allegedly going into that second semifinal. I was just joking about it, but hey, we actually are going to have it, so that's going to be an interesting one to say the least. But let's get into game number 1 of our final best of 3, guaranteed $50 gift certificate, but you want that trophy and $150 gift certificate per player if you get the victory.
You triple your earnings just for being able to get 2 wins here in the grand finals. And on top of that, like we said, the trophy, which is going to be so illustrious. It's actually so illustrious that I think HEU might have just given up a free first goal. Never mind. Good save on the initial. What about on the follow? Off the backboard. Not going to be there. My goodness, this grand final is already off to a very hot start. Both teams are just firing back and forth with shots, and looks like here's going to be another one. Fusion trying to get something started through the corner. Sonark, though, kind of collides with their teammate, and maybe not for the wiser unless this shot goes in on the other end. Ricochets off the backboard, and it's a little bit above the net. HEU find a shot from it, not quite yet, and Sonark doesn't judge that touch all too correctly, meaning it'll go the other way. A pendulum swing back and forth here between the two teams in our first minute or so as it just continues to go back and forth and back and forth. Maybe this could end it. HEU trying to judge their time to dive in. Sonark's there, the shot on and denied again. Fusion do not seem to care about the pressure that is being put against them, whether in the last series or in this one. They're making saves and not buckling underneath the pressure. Here's another shot, this one off target. I have nothing to say besides Fusion. Props to you. Despite the overwhelming pressure that you are facing right now, they do not seem to succumb to it whatsoever. Through 90 seconds of play here, there has already been a multitude of shots and still no goal found.
And there's still potential for HEU to get something going on this initiative, but it just keeps getting ripped away by Team Fusion. No chances for them to do anything with the possession of the ball. We've already seen 3 shots from Sonark and a save from Snaz here. Potential again from Sonark, but they know after watching the first semifinal, that's the player to focus on. Snaz also focusing on their offensive opportunity as it was developing, but it fizzles out as quickly as it gets started. Fortunate enough for Team Fusion, but as I say that, they almost sneak it underneath the crossbar. I don't know how they get that through. Bixby with another save, not credited, but they'll take it either way.
This is a very different game versus the semifinals we saw here. And it's also 2 very different approaches. Like we mentioned for HEU, they're very much a team that are going to play with Sonark at the forefront of everything and VixP getting involved when they need to versus a Fusion where, well, I was going to say both players get involved when they need to. Swazmaster kind of getting this one for free, though. It's not as if the save wasn't great here on the back end, but really this is a free ball out at mid.
That has got to hurt for HEU. Especially with how confident they felt coming into this final. But again, we were talking about it on the back end. Oh, you know, the team who dominated all their rounds, they're probably going to be the one to win it. They didn't make it here. Team Fusion got it. And as I say that, Bixby, we also see getting the goal this time. Not just Sonax, excuse me, getting that one through. They are able to support their teammate, and that just goes to show we have the 2 best teams that made it to this grand final. Absolutely.
Both these teams have earned their spot here in grands, and I have to imagine no matter the results, they're going to be proud of their performances here today, but you can be a little bit prouder if you walk away with that grand prize. Like we said, $150 gift cards to each of the players, plus the trophy to sort of commemorate their win here. Question is, which team's going to take it? For right now, we don't have a definitive answer. Past halftime here in game number 1. All squared away at 1 apiece. It could be 2 here. VixP gets the pass out from center. Unfortunately, a shot is not on target, and I do feel like Fusion were prepared for it. Either way, they were not prepared for this, though. Sonar causing problems. He's just bumping players and just sneaks in this shot.
Beautiful performance, but also the boost grab instead of going towards the ball is really what did them dirty on that play for Team Fusion. Maybe expected their teammate to be in a better spot to challenge, but they weren't quite expecting the speed of Sonark on that play. And you got to expect that speed from Sonark, especially after what we saw in the first series.
What were we expecting out of Swaz here? Not really able to do much with that initial play. They did serve it up to their teammate on the follow-up, but understandable they did not commit there. Probably don't want to commit with the ball just kind of dragging in front of your net. Speaking of which, this one gets dragged all the way downfield. A perfect air dribble, but it's not going to result in a goal. They don't necessarily need it, though. HEU is just trying to put on the pressure. They don't want to give Fusion a chance to respond, and they won't quite yet. Sonark, 75 in the tank. What can they do with it? Not able to make the follow-up touch, and now all of a sudden VixP has to make a decision. Do they want to keep the pressure on? The answer is yes! The shot will not be found. What about the follow? Off the backboard. Backwards in net, but I don't think VixP recognized that that was a golden opportunity. The offense was continuing to click, but the defense was awkward and really could have been a chance to seal the deal, but instead they'll restart the offense yet again and try to get their 3rd.
I understand the hesitation from HEU. They know they don't want to overextend themselves and find them easily tied up by this team of Team Fusion. Especially they are tuning into the last series. That's what happened a couple of times to Kickmasters and why they ultimately lost. But HEU a bit wiser on the field as we have seen up to this point, but an insane pinch play from the ground from Snaz to put it through. The best play we've seen all day.
I would agree with that one, and honestly, it's a clever one at that. You can see the Snaz goes,
Wow.
okay, you don't want to challenge? Fine, I will just pinch it off the ground, and that's the one thing that does kind of suck about playing a patient game where you pick and choose your challenges, that if the other team just kind of goes, you know, absolutely ham, dives at every play, you kind of have to expect that occasionally they are going to sneak one by you, and that's exactly what we see there is Fusion with the speed that they've been coming out with. Take advantage of the hesitation, but no hesitation here. HEU see the opportunity, see Sonar diving in net, and Vixp slams it home.
An amazing comeback performance from HEU, and really the difference maker for this squad compared to the previous opponents of Team Fusion and Kickmasters. They know when to strike, how quickly they need to strike to get the lead back in their favor against this Team Fusion squad.
Oh.
And now all eyes on them for a finish. The dunk comes through and a final touch just for an extra cherry on top.
From highlight play to highlight play here, the dunk is beautiful from Sonar. Perfectly reads the mid-air challenge, muscles through it, and even gets, like you said, the extra cherry on top with one more touch. HEU a statement here in Game 1. And although Fusion have had their responses at times, it is very clear, HEU, they took a moment to adjust, but now that they've made their adjustments, they're back at full force.
Team Fusion really needs to get started strong in this next game of the series to force a Game 3 to stay alive in this grand final. Otherwise, HEU are going to run away with it. And at that, they can't get the last second goal to at least bring it within one. Would have been solid momentum-wise for them, but still not enough for the squad of Team Fusion. And maybe they need to do a Fusion dance and combine their powers so that they can at least get going with the next goal, the next game, and the next series win for them under their belts. But right now they have their work cut out for them, and we'll see. We've seen the adaptations from them before after a rough Game 1. That wasn't really as rough as the first one we saw of the last series.
I wouldn't say that was rough in any capacity. I think the big issue for them is just that aggressive playstyle that we talked about, while it is going to at moments where you do take advantage of that more patience that we've seen out of midfield, at other moments it is going to, you know, come back to bite you. And that's what we saw at HEU, is that HEU recognized those moments where Fusion were going to be a bit too aggressive and would leave them in awkward positions, and then they developed plays out of said awkwardness. And it's a great strategy. It's one we see actually often at a 2's level, as teams literally waiting for mistakes and then they punish as soon as that opportunity arrives. And I'm not going to say that Fusion can't do that, but Fusion can't play the same way they did in their semifinals here. They still want to play aggressively. They still want to play with a two-pronged approach where both players are getting involved in offense. They might need to prioritize defense just a little bit more. Individual plays are starting to break out for HEU, and you don't have somebody back to defend those, you're never going to be able to stop them. Game number 2 officially underway. It is do or die here for Team Fusion. If they lose this game, the series is over. Grand finals to HEU. They will be our winners. If Fusion can just get this game, they can keep the series extended.
We shall see, as HEU starting off with a bang yet again. Vixp, 2 shots already with the goal on the follow-up. The bump, though, from Sonark is what led to that goal.
I think part of it's the fact that Cruisemaster just didn't really think that there was going to, Swazmaster did not really think that there was going to be a touch there out of Snaz, so they dive at the ball as well. Then when the double commit comes through, plus the bump that you said, nobody's home for the follow-up. And it's a good idea, but it's just, again, one of those things where the extra aggression comes back to bite you. It won't come back to bite them here. My goodness, Swaz. That wasn't a necessary double touch, but it sure was pretty.
Very clean. It's what we like to see. They went for the read and then the finish afterwards. And even if they didn't get it, their teammate was following right behind them just for the final touches. Tie things up in the first 35 seconds, and this one is going to be another shootout between these two squads. But you also see a double commit. Vixp patiently waiting, though, and this will be enough for them to put it into the back of the net. Almost wasn't, though. A bit too delayed on that flip forward. Could have been scooped out.
I do kind of feel bad here because I do feel like Snaz actually probably had this, but, or excuse me, not Snaz, Swazmaster probably had that, but Snaz calls them off of it and says, no, I can pinch this out of the corner. Full take a boost, you gotta sometimes just be willing to give up the ball to your teammate, but again, this is where that aggressive playstyle can come back to bite you. If you're already swinging through and making an aggressive rotation, you're not really thinking about trying to call yourself off the ball and seeing if your teammate has a chance to approach it instead. Fusion still playing with that very fast-paced playstyle, and although it has not come back to bite them too many times in this series, they do need to be careful, but here's why it is effective. Look how quickly they transition out of their half. Had that shot been on target, it would have been a tied game. So again, the ebbs and flows here. When it works, it's great for Fusion, but at times it can leave them vulnerable.
Ooh, potential there for Team Fusion again, but Sonark always has the read, always with the pre-jumps on these plays too. Doesn't have a worry in the world when going for a challenge, and you have to have that kind of confidence at this stage of the game, but have confidence in your teammates too. With Vixby getting that one away, might have been better to leave that up for Sonark instead of going for the passive play, because it seemed like they were in a better position to at least put it on target, bump it to each other, and well, Snaz is just playing the patient game, and I respect it.
I mean, at a certain point, that is kind of going to be necessary here. Swaz wants to keep going with this hyper-aggressive approach, which I will admit is working pretty effectively here in the second game. They're going to need Snaz to stay back and play a little bit more of defense, and that's why you see them just straight up in the goal mouth right now. Oh, but the moment they do dive out and it's a double commit, that means space to work with. That means Vixby serves it up to Sonark. Sonark slams it on target, and Snaz still makes the save.
Oh, Vixby could have gotten possession of the ball too, just to keep it in play, but wise from Sonark to hit it back towards their side into a corner that they can get possession of the ball again in a dangerous dunk. Bit too wide for it to be on target. Still threatening though is Vixby. No boost and taken away, dangerously so in front of the net though. As another shot comes through, no boost from Swaz really. And they still can't get a ball served up to them in any fashion. Gonna have to get a refund on their bill afterwards at that restaurant, but even then, right past the halfway point of this game, still no closer to Team Fusion to tying things up, as it still seems to be the game being dominated by HEU, regardless of it just being this close of a series.
I mean, they're breaking out of their half occasionally, but the big thing for HEU is that they're not overstaying their welcome in offense. They're recognizing that when they do need to retreat, they are quick with it, and they get back to midfield with such authority. They need to get back for this one, though. Nobody there. Snaz a long ball. This should make it in, and it will. Tied game with just about 100 to go.
So close to get that save too. It was a slow roller and a snail's pace, but eventually it won the race between them and the defender. Almost got there at the last second, couldn't scoop it out in time though, as the full width of the ball passed the goal line and tied things up. 1:46 on the clock now, and still more opportunities for either squad to get the victory in this game. Team Fusion a must-win. HEU, they want this win so that they can close things out early and get their winnings.
I'd have to do it in overtime, though, because at this point, Fusion is starting to be a bit wiser to the offenses they're trying to develop, and they're just removing them from the pitch. The double demo, no one back, but off the respawn, Vixby in time. Breakaway play, if Sonar can hustle, this might be their third goal.
Oh, they need some better boost pathing on that one. Just leave the ball on its own lonesome and get some boost pads or something to get some more trajectory behind the ball, some power behind it to get it on target. But we have a rule on station. Snaz and Vixby will be connecting the noses of their cars, and it's just really a for fun rule for those who aren't as familiar with in-game rules of Rocket League. You don't have to do it, but you don't have respect if you don't stay connected with your opponent in that fashion. So a 1v1 situation this is between Sonark and their opponent.
It just comes down to who plays ones, honestly. And to be fair, I don't play ones, and most players don't play ones in Rocket League as well. So it's clear the two players do know how to play it, though. We're seeing chances on either end. Swaz with the air dribble. Perfectly dunks it on the line. Even with Sonark, I think being able to make that save, they sliced that under the bar.
Sonark was in position. You see it barely.
That's
oh no, it didn't
crazy.
even touch them though. They were like so close, but because it hit the crossbar, it allowed them to get a bit more power on the ball and a better angle for it to get away from Sonark. So because it hit the crossbar, it wasn't going to be saved. If it didn't hit the crossbar, Sonark was there to make the save. So time ticking down, looking like we are potentially going to a Game 3 situation. No other way to do it unless we do see a last-second comeback by Team HEU.
Still got the time, but they don't really have a lot of boost to work with. Sonar going to need to get this off the half, and as we've talked about multiple times this game, Swaz's role in this one, annoy them. Just do not let HEU get any moment to breathe, and my goodness, if it is not effective. Fusion going to find the victory here. It's in narrow margins, but it extends the series at least a game further.
That it does, and that could not have gone any better for Team Fusion. Compared to the first game, it was a lot better performance, but also kudos to the players for sticking to that Rule 1, where if I was the team of HEU, I would not have done that. I would have just said, I'm going to just break out of this and support my teammate and make sure that that goal doesn't come through. But Swazmaster with the 1v1 prowess is what got them the victory at the end of the day. And that's how they were able to come out on top. Now, will that be enough in Game 3 for them to do the same? Who knows? We'll see as we get into that Game 3 momentarily. But still, HEU, I mean, they have the work cut out for them. They are now playing from behind. And last time we saw a team do that against Team Fusion, they lost. So if things continue the way they did before, Team Fusion primed and ready for the victory.
I don't necessarily think that Fusion, though, have straight up figured out their opponents. I think one of the biggest things that we did see in the last series was that when Fusion started to get a response to Kickmasters, they really understood the rotations. HEU here would have had an overtime if not for that one, and I continue to state that. As good as the abilities are as Swazmaster, we have seen it. The aerial plays and the touches off the backboard have been immaculate out of that player in particular. It's not as if they weren't necessarily going to guaranteed get that. So, Fusion, you might have been able to sneak into the victory in that last game, but you're going to probably have to do the same amount of fighting here in this one. HEU are going to come at you guys with full force, and you better be prepared to stop it. It's not going in, though. I trip over my words because I thought that was surely a goal.
We'll get the overlay reset as quickly as we can as well on the goals. Still 0-0, mind you, but even then, time it ticks on. That should have been a goal, and I don't know how it wasn't, but Sonar maybe looking for something on this play. Vixie a chance as well, but does get reset. I wouldn't be surprised if the score that we had from last game is a similar story to this one based on how it's already developed in this first minute. Easily opportunities, and there's the one that needs to happen for Sonar to capitalize on.
They're getting a bit more aggressive. This might be the change-up here at HEU. Look how close Sonark is playing behind their teammate. They got caught off guard a couple of times with counterattacks like that in the last game, but you could see it. Vixby was immediately heading back, and that's why there even was the space for Sonark to work with. And props to Vixby as well for even getting the assist there. That pinch-out center was beautiful, and it sets them up with the first goal. Get an immediate response, though. No, Swashmaster, no contact there, but Snaz, the follow-up immediately on target, and indeed, we do get a response.
Every time HEU gets something going in their favor, you're going to think, oh, yeah, they got this one in the bag. You know, they just need one more, and they'll feel a bit more confident. Team Fusion destroy their plans. Sabotage, chaos, and mayhem on the field. In this first minute of Game 3, the final game, the final series, and the final time for either of these two teams to put up the performance of their lifetime to get that trophy and gift card prizing for themselves. As you mentioned, tripling their prizing if they get the victory. And well, might as well be a Game 3 that chooses the fate of either of these two teams.
Back out at mid. Swashmaster trying to keep this one close. They've got a dribble and the flick, not on target though. So Naz will come in for cleanup crew. Shot on target. And the boost steal in the corner means this is not going to be an easy breakout for HEU. Might get it to midfield, but will they get it further? Not quite. And Sonark, although they do have boost here, what can they do with it? Full field air dribble. They've got it close to their car, ready for the dunk. They might not need it, though, if Vixby cannot get there in time. Props to Snaz. That is a crucial final touch.
Huge from Sonark, too, to recognize that the counterattack was coming out and get back regardless of how much boost they had. They knew they had to make that save into the corner, otherwise easily would have been a goal in the favor of Team Fusion. Might have a chance here, though, for Swazmaster again. Just has to win the 1v1, and they do just that, destroys it at that.
Again, Swashmaster has been playing like this all throughout the series. They go, you don't think I'm going to challenge here? Oh boy, are you wrong. Dives on that play, muscles through the 50, and what a way to put a statement here as we get to halftime. Team Fusion up 2-1.
This is their time to shine. Swazmaster, Their time to shine again, and they're going to scoop this into the net. No stopping Team Fusion today.
This is very clever out of Swass as well. They recognize, all right, either you're going to pop this away from me to where I'm not going to be able to get this ball whatsoever. But on the off chance that you do miss it, I'm going to stay lurking around and see if I can slot this in. Brilliant play there at Team Fusion. They're starting to find that equilibrium. They are playing still very aggressively, but at moments they do take a step back and play with a little bit of patience. And that little bit of patience is what is making it so difficult for HEU to lead them. HEU have got plenty of time to get a response, but at this point, with 2 goals to the good, they're going to need a hustle.
I got to see more out of Bixby to set up their teammate Sonark, who seems like they've just been caught in between a rock and a hard place against this Team Fusion roster on offense. They can't get anything going, challenged at every moment, and it's making it so much more difficult for them to find their footing. Even with shots like that, denied and shot back the other direction. If that was on target, a boomer of a goal too. But they don't need it. They already have the 2-goal lead. HEU really trying to go back to the drawing board themselves and draft up some plans for a comeback, which is exactly what they need at some point in this next minute.
Sonark trying to get it started here, but no boost left in the tank, so they're not going to be able to follow that up, and it's up to Bixby to do some heavy lifting on defense. They will do exactly that, and maybe even get some offense of their own, and I don't know who to blame on that one. That clearly was not going to be a pass. It technically could have been, but Sonark dives in a bit too late on that one after second-guessing themselves, and what could have been an offensive play, an extension to said offense, isn't even going to be an offense at all. They're back in a defense now. Bixby, though, only going to stay there momentarily. Gets it through the corner and gets the pinch out center. Where is Sonark? Up for it. Met with a 50. Bixby there. The follow-up off the backboard. A shot just needs to go on target. And unfortunately for them, they are forced into a retreat yet again. A minute to go, and HEU are generating offense. They just can't find the back of the net.
This goes to show how competitive this event has been. HEU able to get this through with time remaining to try and tie things up. Sonark with a perfect flip on that challenge. Fate on their side. Unfortunately, the defense not in the best position to try and make that difficult save too. Jumped a bit too early and tried to adjust. I was about to say Team Fusion, they got into the semifinals off of tiebreakers. And now they are here, potentially poised to win the grand finals. Just goes to show how strong Oregon is as a region.
And they might still need to do it through not regulation, but through overtime at this point, because HEU are starting to generate more chances on offense. Although, here's a chance for Fusion to maybe close this one out. Back out at midfield, though. Bixby makes the challenge. Maybe they didn't need to. Got boost to recover with it, but they now need to get downfield, and they will. Off the ground, where's the follow-up? Sonark is up, looking for the shot. The angle is there, but it's off the bar. Bixby can't get the follow, and with a breakaway here, time ticking away, HEU need at least one more offense.
Oh, they're not going to get it. It's going to be Team Fusion getting another offensive attack, and they still are keeping it up at the last second, though. Denied for a moment. Bated breath awaited, and that will be a double commit. Team Fusion come out with the victory and are your champions for the Oregon Youth Soccer Esports Oregon Rumble.
Congratulations to Team Fusion, a well-earned victory at that. Again, it's the adjustments from them that are the most impressive about their performance. That is 2 series in a row where they have gone down in the first game, lost the first game, and then made the comeback in a reverse sweep in back 2. This Fusion team, the number one thing I will compliment them on is their ability to adapt. They came into this one with a 2-pronged approach, tried to play with a very cohesive offense. Then they recognize we can't do that. This team is going to keep punishing us for when we try to play too patiently. So they went, all right, Swaz, do you feeling comfortable just being a nuisance? You feeling comfortable just diving into offense on repeat? And once they found that comfortability, Snaz perfectly backed them up on plays, and the 2 of them just took it to HEU on repeat. Offense did not get a chance to breathe. The defense was so electrically fast. Props to Fusion. That is a well-earned victory for them.
Snaz and Swazmaster were the masters of their own fate, gotten through tiebreakers into the top 4, beat the number 1 seed in Game 3, went to Game 3 as well here, and got the victory at the end of the day. We could have easily had a different winner if they did not give it their all in every single series, so congrats to them for getting the victory, the trophy, and the $150 gift certificate per player. But again, do have to give a shout to HEU. They get second place, $50 gift cards per player as well. So they still go home with something, and all of our players who participated today here for this amazing event of the OYSA Esports Oregon Rumble at that. Speaking of, though, we do have some closing points here to go through real quick fast, so we could go back and forth on this one, but make sure you learn more about George Fox University, who helped put this together at georgefox.edu, and don't forget to check out their state-of-the-art esports arena and youth camps next time you're on campus.
Well, as much as this event has been very much brought to you by George Fox and OYSU, it is also a different thing here where it's other people behind the scenes that are also making this possible. Thank you as always to Soga and Rival Esports for hosting the event and the streaming production behind the scenes. These guys are making all of this possible. It's the reason why you can see our two faces just screaming at you with all this information here and making sure it's all happening, and we cannot thank them enough.
Special shoutouts, of course, to the Oregon Youth Soccer Association as they continue their expansion into esports and continue to be a leader in the world of soccer. Be sure to visit OregonYouthSoccer.org for more information on youth soccer programs in the state of Oregon, and we will see you all next time.
Mm-hmm.